My name is Anthony Chatfield, and this is day one of the 30-day plan during which I'm going to teach you a little bit about how to become a freelancer, whether it's a writer, a designer, a developer, whatever it is you do. This course is going to help you take those skills and monetize them so you can make money on your own at home. As I said, my name is Anthony Chatfield, and I am a experienced freelancer. For 5 years out of college, I wrote freelance for a number of different people and businesses, from ghostwriting for internet marketers and entrepreneurs, to providing content for agencies, to writing content for small and large businesses, everything in between. I've done a little bit of all of it. Over the course of that time, I made quite a bit of money, but more importantly, I was able to support myself and my family working from home. And it actually led me to start my own agency that I ran in New York City for about 4 years. Today, I actually work for another agency in Manhattan. I manage the strategy department there. But this is where I got started. This is the career that I took out of college, and this is how I got where I am today. So what I'm going to be showing you over the course of this entire program, actually, is what I used to get there. Day one, we're going to start looking at the building blocks of success, some of the stuff you're going to need to get going, and how to start building out your freelance business. More particularly, what it is you want to do and how you're going to be able to present that to your prospective clients. So every day of this program, we're going to run through some of the goals that I want you to achieve. These are questions I want you to answer, ideas I want you to think about, tasks I want you to complete. If you complete each of these goals each day, you will be well on your way to becoming a freelancer before you know it. So for today, we're going to keep it pretty simple. Just want to introduce you to the program, talk a little bit about what I hope you will get out of it, and discuss some of the tools and resources you will eventually have at your disposal. So we're going to focus first and foremost on what you can sell, and then how you can sell it, regardless of what your background is. All right. So first things first, experience. This is one of the first and most persistent questions I get from anybody when I talk about freelancing. And I've taught this to quite a few people, not always formally, but just in general, people would come to me whether they were unemployed or didn't have the job they wanted or wanted to make a little bit of extra money on the side. Whatever the circumstances were, they would see what I was doing and think, well, that would be awesome if I could also do the same thing. So I've gotten pretty used to describing what I do, but also in the context of how anybody, regardless of background, can take those skills and put them to use for themselves. And the first lesson, the first thing I tell everybody, is that experience can be proven. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to have had a big, high-level job in an industry that you want to work in. Doesn't matter if you have a degree, doesn't matter how many years you've worked. All that really matters is that you have the skills that you claim you do. If you can prove whatever claims you're making of your expertise, people will hire you. It doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. And that's the coolest part about freelancing. You have the power to show how awesome you are. Portfolios can be self-generated, and you don't have to worry about getting paid or not getting paid. At first, you can volunteer to show your skills. People will gladly give you a chance if you're willing to prove that you can do it. And here's a picture here. You can see the portfolio I put together, maybe 8 years ago. This was my first website about 8 months into freelancing out of college. And you can see I just threw a few articles up there. You can actually go to this website still. It's still live for some reason. And see some of the early articles I wrote. And they're not even that good. But just having this page landed me a lot of work because it proved that I knew what to do, I knew how to do what I said I was going to do. All right? So that's step one. And over the course of the next week or so of this program, I'm going to show you how to start building that portfolio, where to put it, how to present it, how to make sure people find it, and when to give it to people proactively. Now, some of those spaces, where are you going to find the work? The screenshot I showed you at the beginning here was me on Elance. That was the account that I utilized way back in the day, as well as when we launched our agency. That's Elance. So Elance is probably the largest freelance directory on the internet. There are hundreds of thousands of people on here, millions of dollars worth of jobs. Name a skill or an industry, and you will find work that needs to be completed in that space. Even now at the agency I work with, we utilize this tool repeatedly for various different projects. Odesk is another one. And that actually Elance and Odesk merged about 2 or 3 years ago. So it's one company, but it's still 2 separate websites. Freelancer.com is probably the biggest competitor to the Elance Odesk companies. And while it's a bit smaller, it's very diverse. And there's a lot of work on there, especially in the programming space. Craigslist is a good local search tool. People will post things here directly if they need a small or odd job done. Actually, the first two projects I got when I started doing freelance work out of college were on Craigslist. And while they had nothing to do with what I wanted to do, they got me going. They got me started in this space. They taught me how to talk to clients. That was my jumping off point. There are other websites that are more specific, industry job boards, whether they're specific to a skill you have, such as a writing. Writer Access is a great website if you're a writer. There's actually a lot of good sites if you're a writer. Same thing with development skills or design skills. We'll go into more of those later down the road, but there are dozens and dozens of skill-specific websites where you can go and promote your work. And then word of mouth. So if you're going to be freelancing, make sure you tell everybody you know, contact anybody you know who works for a company that might need your work. Tell your family, tell your friends. No, your mom's probably not going to hire you to write a blog post for her, but maybe she knows somebody down the line. Maybe she's at church one day or out shopping or talking to a friend and something gets mentioned and she can say, hey, my son or daughter is actually doing this. They're writing stuff in their free time. Maybe you can send them some work. That's not going to be your primary source of work, but you never, ever know where it's going to come from. So don't be afraid to tell the world. All right. Now, what can you do? I'm going to assume if you're watching this, you probably have at least some semblance of an idea of what you want to do. But some people don't. Some people just know that there's an opportunity out there to freelance and they want to get started. Now, the cool thing is there are some skills that don't require a specific background. You just have to want to do it. So you can learn what you need to know and then be a flexible partner for your clients. You probably have a core skill, something you've been doing for a little bit of time. Whether you're a designer or a developer, or you're really good with Excel, good at data entry, if you have any kind of writing background, these are all things you can do. And very few of these things require you to be an expert. Development's probably one of the few areas where you really need to know what you're doing if you want to pick up projects there. But even if you have limited experience, you can pick up light projects as a developer. So what I recommend here is go through Elance, go through Odesk, see the kind of projects that are being listed. This is all freely available. And see if any of them look like things you could do. Even if you haven't done it before, even if it's something you would have to learn how to do, if you feel like you could learn how to do it, that's the kind of work you want to think about. And now's the time to start building out your portfolio and learning how to do those basic things so that you can become marketable in those areas. All right. So here's what we're going to be doing over the next few weeks. We're going to be, first off, determining and defining key marketable skills. So basically, what are you going to be doing? We're going to be creating a portfolio to demonstrate those skills clearly. This is just the most effective way to get that work is to show people you've done it before. Even if at this point, as you're listening to this, you have not done this, this is your chance to show that you know how to do it. You're going to build an online profile to approach and become a viable candidate. Whatever sites you decide to work on, this is how you're going to do it. You're going to be creating a brand and building a list that you can market yourself with. Now, you could make your entire career out of working on Elance and other sites like this, but the most effective way, and the way that's going to get you paid the most long-term, is to build a brand so that eventually people are coming to you, and you can start building passive income sources. We'll get into a lot of that much later on, but this is the kind of stuff that's going to let you grow out of freelancing eventually, so you're not selling your time for money. Now, first things first, we want to get this going. And finally, we're going to be setting goals for future actions and passive income generation, what I just mentioned there. All right, so final thing here, and this is something I'm going to include with every day's presentation, is just some actions for you to take before we hop on to the next one. First things first, make a list of your innate talents, and then spend 30 minutes or so on Elance or Odesk reviewing the types of projects that are available and that match up with those talents. Finally, I'm going to include a worksheet here. You'll find it in this week 1 program. Fill it out and determine what your marketable skills are and how you're going to promote your work. Even if you have no idea right now, this is the time to start writing it down and think about it. Make it something active in your mind. And then as we get moving, you'll have already gone over this before. If you're not sure if there's a bunch of different stuff you think you could do, that's totally cool. You might end up bidding on a wide range of projects as you get started and kind of figure out what you like as you go. My first 3 major projects were, in this order, I wrote a long blog post describing the Super Bowl commercials in 2007. I edited a self-published novel from somebody who lived nearby, posted it to Craigslist, and I helped a not yet published author get a bunch of new friends on MySpace. Yes, it was that long ago that he needed friends on MySpace to promote his new book. In the end, I ended up writing a lot of website content and ebooks that ended up being my niche as a freelancer. But that's not where I got started because that's not the stuff that was available, and I didn't know that's what I wanted to do. So it's going to evolve, but at least for now, you can start looking at what's available to get you going.